We will let you hear the John Mara press conference in about 15 minutes, exclusively right here on the Fan. As soon as I get the green light to do it, we will let you hear it in its entirety. It is not all that long, and John Mara said a number of things. I think the key takeaway from it, first off, good afternoon, Evan. How are you?
I am excellent. How are you?
Is that he recognizes that he has lost the fans' trust, which is a big admission for a proud owner to say that publicly, especially for a guy who fancies himself as a fan first. So John Mara taking ownership of that, I think is a big deal. And yes, the quarterback sneaks and the 11-minute diatribe press conference did play a role in their decision to fire Joe Judge. Now, what are they going to do? An exhaustive search for GM and then ultimately a head coach, and they are not going to rush into it. There is no timetable for it. They will interview every available candidate that they think highly of, and there will be a new leader of the New York Giant organization, which ultimately is the best thing to come out of all this losing.
That's what everybody wanted. It's what everybody's been thinking about and hoping for weeks and weeks and months at a time. The chance for a new beginning, the chance for hope. The thing that concerns me about John Mara is, while I love the statement of I need to earn the fans' trust back, I don't think he gets it in regards to family members being in that front office.
Well, he was asked specifically about Tim Mara and Chris Mara.
Yeah.
Who are obviously part of the family that
They're
are
part
involved
of the
in
ownership of the team.
Well, yes and no. Those guys, I don't believe, have any ownership. Those guys are executives. They're like pro personnel director, college scouting, that kind of stuff. But their last name is Mara. And they are in very important positions because ultimately, you're only as good as your ability to recognize talent.
Can the new general manager fire Amara?
That question was not asked, but I'll tell you the answer. The answer is no.
Oh. Well, do you not see that being a problem? And I feel like we had this discussion in a similar way in talking about Sandy Alderson's son and saying, hey, can the new general manager fire Brent Alderson?
Right.
Now, there is a new general manager for the Mets. I don't think they've fired Brent Alderson and we all move on. But John Mara made it seem like Chris Mara is just a random scout. He's just a random scout who gives his opinion, and it's just like every other scout's opinion. How could that possibly be true, Craig?
Yeah, it's funny that that's your focus on today. It's not mine, but I respect what you're saying, that you have the organization has a problem in bringing in the right free agents. The organization has a problem in drafting the right
Craig,
guy.
The reason I
respect the focus. It's interesting to me that's the focus.
I'll tell you exactly why.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because when I hear the GM's going to have full autonomy, we love that. We want to hear that. But then I wonder if it's truly the case.
Well, I mean, listen.
I have a tough time believing it's truly the case. The
Maras that work for the team in scouting and pro personnel are like any other team, they're advisors. Here's what we think about a particular guy. Here's how we grade the guy. Ultimately, it is going to be up to the GM and the coach, whoever those two men might be, to decide whether to take that grading information and play on it.
If the owner of our radio station's son was giving advice on how to do a show, I think you'd have enough self-confidence to say, go F yourself. But I think a lot of hosts would say, I better listen to the owner of the radio station's son. So when you've got a family member giving advice about player personnel moves, and you even said, your words, the new GM doesn't have the power to remove that person.
I think we all agree that.
That's worrisome.
Yeah. Listen, I hear you. I'm not saying it's not an issue. It is an issue because the last name is Mara. But I'd say a couple things that stuck out to me. And again, no one has heard the press conference in its entirety anywhere because the Giants did something today that I know is immaterial to most of you, but it does warrant at least a comment on it. I've done this for 30 years. I've been involved as a radio talk show host in dozens and dozens and dozens, as you have, of press conferences from teams who are announcing major changes in managers, general managers, players, etc. I've never in my life seen a team stop the media from airing that press conference live. We were told by the New York Giants, as was MSG, as was SNY, as was the NFL Network, that none of us were allowed to air that press conference live. They own the content of the live broadcast of that press conference on Zoom. we were allowed to participate in it. You could ask a question, but no one was allowed to air it live. In 30 years of doing this, I've never seen a team do that before.
Why did they decide?
And I don't know why.
And here's why
I have no idea why.
I am glad you brought it up because while I do a show with you at 2 o'clock, I'm also a listener. I'm a fan. I'm a sports fan. So I expected to hear this press conference today. Tiki and Tierney mentioned they're going to air the press conference.
We promoted it
so.
all day.
They did nothing wrong. And so I tune into my favorite radio station, WFAN, and all of a sudden, about 3 minutes before we can't air it. NFL Network said the same thing. Mike Garafolo fired off a tweet 3 minutes before the press conference aired saying, hey, just want to let everybody know we can't air it live. That's a disservice to the fans. Because there are Giant fans who spend a lot of money and a lot of time watching this football team. That's why they take this so serious. That's why we all take it serious.
About. They must have been worried about something. Like the franchise had to be worried.
About what?
I don't know. I've never experienced it before.
Because the media, Pat Leonard still asked his questions, right?
Everybody did.
Everybody did. The fans were the ones who couldn't instantly hear from the owner of the team. Isn't that the whole point of a press conference?
Right, and not everybody lives on Twitter waiting for somebody to tweet out, hey, John Mara just said X, Y, and Z.
It's also not the same as hearing the press conference.
So we're going to play the press conference for you in its entirety. Coming up in a little bit, the guys are getting it ready for us to air for you, and we're going to give it to you. There's one... Again, I want people to hear it so they know what we're talking about.
Yes.
So I do appreciate John Maurer saying that he needs to earn back the trust of the fan base. And his words, not mine. It's not going to be an overnight process. So I appreciate that very much. I think that is a very smart comment from John Maurer to make. So I applaud him on making that comment, which he said in his opening remarks today.
I agree.
Because it's the right thing to say, and I believe he means it. Yeah. I don't believe he's just faking the funk on that. I think he feels it. I think for the first time in his life, he feels that the fan base has turned their backs on him and don't trust that he's going to do the right thing. So I appreciate very much, on behalf of the Giant fan base, that John Maurer recognized he's lost the fans.
I think that was the best moment of the press conference, understanding where he stands in the eyes of Giant fans.
Yeah, I like the fact that he acknowledged the 11-minute rant. I like the fact that he acknowledged watching the quarterback sneaks, all the things that have ticked the fans off. I like the fact that John Maurer was asked if this is the most embarrassed he's been as the steward of the New York Giants, and he said yes. So all that honesty I appreciate, and I think he did a very good job in a very tough spot in saying the right things, right? There's one part of what he said which will fall on deaf ears about the plight of being a Mara, and having to, pull yourself up from your bootstraps and work really hard to succeed in life. If you're a Mara that's alive today, you were born into luxury.
Right.
And I'm not saying you don't work your ass off. I know a lot of very wealthy people who were born into wealth and still busted their ass to maintain family success or business success. So I'm not suggesting that you're born on third base and you take the easy way out. I want to be clear about that. But a blue-collar fan base doesn't want to hear that it's hard being a Mara. I just want to be clear about that. And I respect the fact that Maras have had their issues as a family like any other family. But when you're born with a generational wealth, life's a bit easier.
It's a little different,
Just a little teeny bit easier.
Yeah.
That's all. So listen, as soon as we have, we'll play it for you. And here's the reality. You're a diehard Giant fan. All right, John Maurer spoke, came out of the ivory tower, gave you a few minutes of his time. Less than 20 all in, by the way.
Which wasn't enough. There were questions still left to be asked by respected Giant beat reporters.
I had a question.
That were not at. What was your one question?
And they never got to me.
What was your one question?
My question was... I think it's a brilliant question.
I'll tell you if it's brilliant.
You judge me on the question.
I'll be fair, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
My question was along the lines of, when Joe Judge walked into the interview with you on Monday, was his fate already sealed?
That's a great question. That's a good question.
Like, I want to know, did he say something in that meeting that was eventually the final nail in the coffin?
It's great because...
Or had you already made up your mind?
We were in the dark for 48 hours, was John Maurer. Did John know in that initial meeting that Tish was also involved in, I've made my decision? Was it one of those cases where I've made my decision, but I'll let Joe Judge try to sell me?
Because remember, they met on Monday. He got fired on Tuesday.
Exactly. No, I think that's a good question.
By the way, and Joe Judge went out like the clown that he is. Joe Judge did not reach out to his assistant coaches personally. after finding out that he was
probably devastated.
removed.
He was probably very sad.
Joe Judge, and this is according to Josina Anderson, I think is her last name?
Yes.
Who did a very good job covering this story. She reported late yesterday.
She reported Joe Judge was safe Monday, so let's take it easy with.
All right, she did not do a good job reporting on this story.
No, it was on Monday he was safe. On Tuesday he was gone.
All right.
Those are her tweets. But go
All
ahead.
right, so she did a terrible job and then a good job. I don't know.
I'm just being fair here. That's all.
Here's the deal.
Yes,
all right,
go ahead.
She reported late yesterday that when Joe Judge got fired, rather than do the classic thing and reach out to his assistants and say, listen, Bob, listen, Billy, hey, Stevie, hey, Patrick, I'm out. I'm fired. Just want to give you a heads up. Appreciate your hard work, blah, 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 right? He called his assistant, meaning his secretary, and he told his secretary, I just got let go. Will you tell all the assistants if they want to talk to me to show up here tomorrow at 9?
I'm
Like,
sorry.
what?
I got to defend Joe Judge.
You had your assistant call them?
The guy just got fired.
Yeah.
He's probably devastated. I'm going to cut him some slack.
I don't know.
That he wasn't personally reaching out to
Barbara,
everybody.
do me a favor. Call everybody up. Tell them I got fired. If they want to say goodbye, I'll be packing my bags at 9 tomorrow morning. Anyway. We will play the John Mara press conference for you as soon as I get a thumbs up from the boys. It'll be this hour, though, they tell me. Are you ready to go now? All right, we got to take a break. Let's take a quick break. After the break, if you're a diehard Giant fan, your exclusive and only opportunity today to hear the press conference in its entirety will be coming up right after this on the Fan